All right, before today's show, I want to tell you about Amazon Automotive. Hey, car enthusiasts, here's something you probably didn't know. Amazon lets you shop auto parts, tools, and accessories quickly and easily from your PC or mobile device. Plus, Amazon offers free shipping on millions of items for Prime members. Are you a Prime member? Amazon carries top brands like K&N, PowerStop, Chemical Guys, Bosch, and more. And the Amazon Automotive Store also has a massive selection of parts, accessories, tools, fluids, and more. You can even shop for tires on Amazon. No more dealing with those shady guys at the dealership or the weird guys at the parts shop. You can check fitment online for millions of parts using Amazon's Part Finder tool. Just enter your year, make, and model, and Amazon will tell you if it fits. Oh, I love that. Nothing feels better than buying with confidence, so use their customer Q&A as well as product reviews to research and ensure you buy the right part the first time. Not an automotive expert? Check out Amazon's library of automotive video content on Amazon.com/mygarage. Learn to install an air filter, change your oil, or just check out tips for driving off-road. Empower yourself, people. Go to Amazon.com/mygarage, enter your vehicle info, and start shopping our comprehensive automotive catalog. Add promo SPIKE, yep, my name at checkout. Boy, I wonder if I can do this for hot dogs tonight. All you have to do is add SPIKE at checkout to receive $5 off on select orders over $25 for a limited time. Restrictions apply. Visit Amazon.com/promo terms for details.
Now, Podcast One brings you Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
All right, welcome to Spike's Car Radio. I'm here with a guy, fits, just the sweet spot for this show. Cars and comedy. Mr. Jay Leno. Hi,
Thanks.
Jay.
Thanks. That's me and Jerry, Cars and Comedy.
But when I think, you and I have such a long history. There's so much I want to talk to you about.
Sure.
Because we're part of that late night thing. You obviously a much bigger part than me. But you, and I don't know if you even remember this, you were like my first paying gig in comedy. Do you recall this in any way?
No, go ahead.
This is 1986, 87, right?
All right.
A fella by the name of Jay Leno is going to be guest hosting for Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show on Monday nights, right? And Larry Jacobson, who I'm sure you know.
Yeah, Larry, a good friend of mine, yeah.
One of the greatest monologue joke writers of all time.
Right.
He's writing for Letterman at the time.
Right.
And he calls me up and says, Jay's looking for guys to write jokes for him, right?
Oh, okay.
Now, at that moment, I'm an intern, I think, at Letterman, kind of transitioning to receptionist at Saturday Night Live, right? And I call you up on a Friday afternoon, and you tell me that you're doing this, and here's the type of stuff you're looking for. And then I say, great. Well, Jay, when do you need jokes? And he said, well, the show's Monday. And it's Friday, so get me something tomorrow. I had people coming over to the house for a party. I cleared that place out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I said, I am writing jokes for Jay Leno.
But you weren't a stand-up.
I was not a stand-up. No. I was just I was never a stand-up, really.
I never like to take jokes from stand-ups because I go, you're going to hate me if I do this joke and it gets a big laugh because this is your joke.
Right, right.
Either be a writer or a stand-up. But if you're a writer and a stand-up, you're going to hate it every time you see somebody else perform your material. But it's really true, and so it worked out good. So I wound up always getting just writers.
Well, for me, up until that moment, I had written a couple of Weekend Update jokes, and you were paying, I think, $50 a joke,
right?
Which, I get 2 jokes on, I'm kind of doubling my salary.
Well, there you go, there you are,
right? And I did. I think I got 3 jokes in that first monologue.
And that was in '86. It's gone up a bit.
Yes, it's gone up, right? But it was I'm watching The Tonight Show, you're hosting, and there are my jokes on the air.
Oh, okay.
So exciting. And
I remember it now that you mention it, yes, I do.
I didn't have a DVR. I had a little pocket tape recorder with that little mini tape, and I held it up to the TV, and I recorded it.
Oh, there you
and
go.
I just played it over and over and over again. But a very exciting part of my life. But I want to, before we get into the car stuff, I want to get into kind of the late night stuff because there are a couple of stories that I've always wanted answers to. One of them is, I think probably 19 1991, kind of the late night wars, with you and Dave and that whole thing going on. Not friendly like it was now. It was a little adversarial. It felt like. I don't know what it was like from your position.
Well, not really. I mean, there's so many myths that have, know. I was guest hosting for 5 years, and I was the only guest host. And so, in NBC's mind, they had a hit show at 12:30 with Dave, and they had the Tonight Show with Johnny. So you had 2 hit shows. Plus, Dave. Dave's a bit quirky. And, I mean, I remember one time one of the network executives asked for tickets for his kids.
Right.
Because Letterman had some music act on that the kids wanted to see, Not little kids. I mean, teenagers.
Right.
Old enough to be in the audience. And Dave said no. And the guy said, just go sit in the back. No. And I remember the guy saying in a meeting, hang on.
Well, let's see who's calling.
Saying in a meeting, I don't want to go through 20. I'm not going to do this for the next 20 years. And so it started out not on a good thing for Dave. And they had this other guy. And then CBS courted me when it looked, as it was announced Johnny was going to step down. And then...
So I didn't know that. So you were potentially going to CBS and not Dave.
Well, yeah. In fact, I still have the motorcycle they gave me. CBS bought me Adam Ant's '64 Triumph Bonneville.
Come on.
And they said, "Here you go. Here's a present for you." And they knew. Yeah, I'm not a money guy. Oh, something shiny and makes noise. I said, "Oh, cool. This is good." And the plaque said, "Ride on over to CBS."
Oh my God!
I said, "Oh, okay." And then I rode the motorcycle to NBC, and they said, "What's this?" I said, "Look at the plaque." What? And they, well, I don't know. They made me an offer, and that's kind of how it happened.
That is insane.
But,
for most of us, that's just a call. Hey, come on and let's have a meeting. It doesn't start with a '64 Bonneville. And by the way, I ride a '66 Bonneville.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's an incredible thing. Here's what I want to know. So there's a moment where I'm down in my office writing somewhere in the early 90s, and there's a knock at the door, and Letterman comes in. Now, this is weird because Dave, never comes down to my office unless we're shooting or something's going on. I'm 2 floors down below, so I know something's up. And he sits down on the couch, and he cracks open a newspaper. Hey, Spike, what's going on? Starts reading the newspaper. And I'm like, oh, nothing. And in my head, I'm like, Am I getting fired today? Am I in trouble? What is he wearing a wire? Is this a bit for Friday? What is happening? And he hangs out here in my office for 20 minutes, making chit chat, and I'm pretending not to have a white hot panic attack, right? Then he leaves and walks down the hall. So I call up Diamond or one of his assistants. Now I don't know if this is true or this isn't true. And I go, what the hell just happened? What is Letterman doing in my office? And she's like, she said, now you can tell me if this is true or not. And I've been waiting to hear the answer for this for so many years and forgetting to ask you. She said you were in the building. You'd walked in to say hi to Dave. And that Dave was hiding. He wanted to keep that feud alive. Is that true? Did you ever go there?
I did go there, yeah, to see Peter LaSalle and say hi to Dave. And, there was never a feud. I mean, there was no...
Right. There was no animosity.
I was guest hosting, and then they offered me the job. And I said to them, they said, no, we want to do you. We have a hit show at 12:30. We're going to keep Dave where it is. I said, okay. And somehow this turned into me stealing it and being a thief and doing all this kind of nonsense. The story...
I never heard that. No, I never heard that.
The story gets so twisted.
The real story was that NBC gave you the job, and that was it. Yeah. You win some, you lose some, and you moved on. I never truly...
And then I did the show with Dave after that was announced.
Right. I never understood why Dave wanted to move to 11:30 because I thought 12:30 was such a cool show. Like, for me, that show was a beacon in college.
To those of us of that generation, Johnny was the guy.
He was the guy, right.
And, I don't think Dave ever really... I think he was more mad at the situation than he was at me.
You're right. And now you're close, right?
Not close. I mean, it's hard to get close to Dave.
Right.
I mean, he's a good guy.
Right.
And, when we first started, I was at the Comedy Store, and I was a pretty good performer. but not a very good writer. But I had the ability to go, hey, what do you know there, Bob? Be loud and gregarious. And Letterman was sort of quiet and closed. Mm-hmm. And then I saw Letterman go on stage, and I remember the joke. He said he was talking about editorials at the radio station that he worked at, and how superficial. He said, "We here at WKR are diametrically opposed to the use of orphans as yardage markers on public golf courses." And I thought, I love the way he put words together. Mm-hmm. I love the term beverage rather than a drink, adult beverage. I thought Dave was just the greatest wordsmith, and I went up and introduced myself, and hey, how you doing? He goes, I said, I watched you, and he said to me, how can you have so much confidence up there? Isn't your stomach a knot? I go, no, I just like to talk. And I realized, I got to be a better writer, and I think Dave realized we had to be a better performer.
Right.
And until this whole silliness started, I think we sort of took from one another. Mm-hmm. My favorite thing to do when I did the Letterman show was to I would always stand in the hall with like a giant meatball sandwich. And I would wait next to makeup, and when Dave would come around the corner, I'd be, Dave, and I'd be eating. He goes, how can you eat? You're going on like 5 minutes. How can you eat Dave, this meatball, this New York, unbelievable. Yeah, and he would just get so frustrated. And
you were so great on the show because you'd always come on and talk about what you were angry about, and it was such a strong.
Well, see, the great thing was, you're from Boston, and with Johnny, when you grew up in New England, it was always Mr. Carson.
Right.
You couldn't give Johnny any grief, and then suddenly he was Letterman, the guy, basically my same age, that I could go, yeah, hey, Dave, nice tie, okay? I mean, you can't say that to Johnny because, even on the show, I go, Mr. Carson. You go, Johnny, it's like meeting your dad's friends. You're not going to call him Bob,
Right.
And it was just awkward. So with Letterman, you could really sort of cut loose and just kind of let it flow. And it was the most fun time of my life doing Dave. Because with Dave, it was always... the laugh always came on the way to the joke, because he would jump in with an aside. What were we talking once is, Dave, I was just out at the old Manson place seeing some of the guys. Oh, the old Manson place, And then he would go off for 5 minutes about how's Charlie White? Oh, something. Squeaky's good. They're all fine. And it would just be, and we'd never really even get to the joke, but Letterman would be laughing, and that was always the most fun for me.
Right.
I mean, I really, really enjoyed that, and I think Dave probably figures in his mind, by giving me that opportunity, that led to him not getting the Tonight Show. And that might be true, but,
Yeah, I don't know. That's just, you get screwed by show business over. We've all been screwed, and that just seems like that's the moment. I don't know. I shot with Dave something maybe 6 or 7 months ago, and he's a completely different guy. Yeah. Very, very relaxed, really happy, super funny. He instantly had a fork full of relish, and he said, "Hey, Spike, what do you think of this?"
Yeah.
It's just making you laugh from the moment you talk to him.
He's a funny guy, and he and I would always make each other laugh. But he was, he just had this inner conflict all the time.
Right.
And I think
I have that same conflict.
Yeah, see, I don't really have that conflict.
I noticed you don't.
And I think he would be. How can you not have that? So that's the thing that sort of kept us from. I mean.
Yeah. Well, there's still time, Jay.
I mean, to me,
if I could broker a peace between the two of you.
Well, there's no fight.
I mean, imagine,
don't forget we did that Oprah commercial.
No, I know.
We did all this stuff. I mean, the most classic example of Letterman was, I would come out and shake hands with the audience every night on The Tonight Show. And I remember when Dave had a thing where he wanted to shake hands with the audience. He was behind a booth, and he had these rubber gloves that he stuck his hands through, and then people would come down and he'd shake hands. Right. And I go, that's great. That's a classic Letterman joke. That's not a joke I could ever do because why would you wear the rubber glove? But Dave, I got it, so I always, And even when there was all the, most of the animosity did not come from Dave. It came from peripheral people, Howard Stern and all these other people that, were Dave fans and jumped
right,
in the bandwagon.
But as you know, you're on a show, you're in a bubble, you're in that little bubble, and suddenly your reality is just that morning you walk through the door, and then what you read everywhere, what your producers are saying to you, and then out the door, and then you take action based on that. All right, we'll be right back with Jay Leno, and we're gonna talk cars in a minute. All right, we've been talking about Amazon Automotive, and I can tell you, before these folks came on to sponsor us, I've had experience with Amazon Automotive, and I'll tell you what I loved about it. I had a light go out on an old Ferrari, right? An old Ferrari light goes out on a car. And I lose my mind when my cars are broken. So I went on to Amazon Automotive and I searched for this thing, and guess what? I found it. And guess what? Because I'm an Amazon Prime member, they got me that part in 2 days. In 2 days. That's all I had to do. Live with my own broken light anxiety was for 2 days. Now you can do that too. You can check for fitment online for millions of parts using Amazon's Part Finder tool. And just in case you don't know what that means, is you find the part and sometimes you ask yourself, is this going to fit my car? Well, you go to their Part Finder tool and it just shows you. There you go. 1972 Ferrari GTC4. I know this is going to fit. I'm not going to get the part and have to return it. I loved it. And in case you want to try and fix your car too and save yourself a lot of dough, which I highly recommend, you check out Amazon's library of automotive video content on Amazon.com My Garage. The videos are there. If you've never tried to fix your own car, look, you can always bring it in and have them fix your mistakes. But if you succeed in doing this, using one of Amazon's videos, you are going to be so happy. Not only by how much money you save, but you're just going to love that car and Amazon more. So go to Amazon.com/mygarage, enter your vehicle information, and start shopping our comprehensive automotive catalog. Not our, theirs. You're going to love this. And don't forget, when you get to checkout, use promo code SPIKE to receive $5 off on select orders over $25 for a limited time. There are restrictions, but hell, you send me a message and I'll lift every one of those restrictions. Go to Amazon.com/promo terms. Go to Amazon.com/promo terms for details.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, we're back with Jay Leno. Jay, the 64 Triumph Bonneville, you still have that?
Still got it. Never sell anything. That's the first rule.
Really? So you don't ever sell anything?
No, I donate stuff, like for Wounded Warriors or something like
Right.
that. We'll have an auction, and you get ridiculous money for. I mean, I had a little Fiat 500, and we got $600,000 for it. Not because it was worth anything, or because my name was on it, but because the money was going to. Wounded veteran. It was going to Fisher House, which is they build houses for veterans.
But why not sell something? What is the feeling? Tell me about that feeling. What is that? Explain that feeling
All
to
right,
us.
the feeling is like, imagine every girl you went out with in high school, and you go back now, and they still look the same. And
oh boy, that's good. That's good.
And plus, the other cool thing about it is sometimes in something lays fallow for a while, like Corvairs. I like Corvairs because they were like the poor man's Porsche, back in the day. And you don't drive one for a while. Oh, and then I'll be reading a car magazine about a guy who did something to it. Oh, they get in mind. Oh, it just feels like a brand new experience again.
Right.
And it really makes it fun. Plus, if you're reasonably knowledgeable and you like something, it'll probably go up in value.
Mm-hmm. Corvairs, a little bit.
Well, Corvairs have gone from $600 to $7,500 to $10,000.
Wow, that's not bad. Yeah,
but I think of stuff. I bought a Bugatti Type 37 for $150,000.
Wow,
and it turned out to belong to Pierre Veron, who was the Grand Prix driver. It was his car. He was a resistance war hero. In fact, Bugatti named their Veyron after him. Wow. And they asked me to bring mine to Pebble Beach to put next to it, and suddenly it becomes a $2 million car.
Wow.
So
right.
if you hang on to stuff long, if you buy interesting
but what
things,
to that point, you have obviously a very big collection, and it starts to get very valuable. What happens after you transition?
Not my problem. After transition, can we get more LA? Can I have a kale salad, please, with a touch of
I knew you would like that. No, but I'm serious. I have other friends with big.
It's not my problem.
But there's no plan. Oh, you don't have kids.
I'll figure something out.
Do you hand this off to your wife? Does she have any interest at all in cars?
No.
Is there going to be a Jay?
No, that's the thing that drives me nuts when I go to car shows and the husband and wife have the matching Mustang shirt and pants. And the wife
Right.
is down there, and she's tightening the exhaust manifold, and they go, no.
She's a prisoner.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been forced into that position.
Yeah.
But so it's not like we're not going to be visiting the Jay Leno collection afterwards. Is there some plan to?
I mean, probably. I mean, what I have now is my garage is not open to the public, but if people make a donation to a legitimate charity, they give a tour of the garage.
That's cool.
And it's 100% of the donation. There's no money deducted for expenses, I mean, that makes me so angry, those kind of like those fake Wounded Warrior guys that, and you realize, 20% goes to help. 20%?
That's it.
What's the other?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so I try to avoid those ones.
So I guess what I'm saying is you don't sell cars. You've obviously got a ton of them. People call me a Porsche guy because I collect Porsches. It's my favorite brand.
Hence, that would be, a Porsche.
Yes.
They call you are. You are a Porsche guy.
I am, but I like Ferraris, Land
Right,
Rovers,
right.
and I have a sort of minor in Ford Mustangs. I like those Massachusetts muscle cars. What are you?
I like anything that rolls, explodes, and makes noise, basically. I find as you get interested in something, you want to know what came before that, what came before that, what came before that. So then eventually you wind up with steam cars and stuff from the turn of the century. I like the brass era stuff because 40 miles an hour seems like 100.
Right. So explain brass era stuff for people.
The brass
who don't know
era
what that
stuff
is.
would be cars built before 1913 when they used a lot of brass and things like that. And the cars were hand assembled. I had a guy named Victor Christian on The Tonight Show back in the 90s. He was 106 years old, and he was America's oldest car salesman. So I bring him on the show, and I figure I'm going to drive my 32 Packard, to the show to show him. So I drive the 32 Packard, and he comes on the park. What year the Packard there? What year that? So 1932. 32. He goes, something? After 15, they were nothing but shit. And I go, and I couldn't. I thought, okay, and I just thought that was the ramblings of an old guy. But then I got a 1911 Packard and a 13, and they're hand assembled, and everything is lapped in by hand. You drive it. They're not fast, but they're precise, and they just feel so mechanical. When you wind the mainspring of a really nice old-fashioned pocket watch, it has that each click. Then you get a cheap one, just But the early ones, and you feel it ratchet each. And that's what driving these old ones are like. And I realized by 1932, Packards were still great, but they were mass-produced. The early ones were hand-assembled. And since he was 106 back in 91 or 92 when I had him on, he was old enough to remember that. And he, I thought it was just interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Is there anything that you, in your collection, again, because I don't think I've even been by your garage.
Well, you
haven't invited me yet.
You can come by anytime you want.
I'd love to come by and see it because everybody I meet has seen it except for me.
Well, you're welcome to come by.
And then I think I might understand. But you've always, when somebody asks me about you, and what little I know about you as a collector, I always say you're a stories guy. That you buy cars based on the story that you hear coming in.
Yeah,
is
that's
that
probably true because a lot of times I get letters from people, and there's a great story with the car.
What's one of your favorite stories?
Well, I have a 67 Chrysler Imperial, a car I would never buy. So one day I get a call from this old guy, Jay. What was his name?
How does the old guy get Jay Leno's number?
I'm the easiest guy. I was in the phone book up until.
Do you want to read off your phone number right now?
A couple years ago. But anyway, he calls me up and he says, "I got a '67 Chrysler Imperial. Had it since brand new. Oh, original owner. I'm 93 years old now. I want to retire. I want to sell it to you." I said, "Well, I'm not really." "No, you got to buy this car." I said, "Well, all right. Where do you live?" He goes, "Beverly Hills." "Beverly Hills? That's right near me." "Where in Beverly Hills?" "Sunset Boulevard." I said, "Who lives on Sunset Boulevard? Where?" And the expensive part.
Right. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
So I said, "Oh, okay, I'll drive over." I drive over to this guy's garage. It's the long drive. I feel like I'm in that movie, Sunset Boulevard, Okay, and I pull up, and he's wearing a smoking jacket with an ascot, the white hair, He's 93, and he's got a guy 70 with him. He goes, "This is my mechanic. He's a Chrysler guy. He services this car at my garage once a month every year since 1967, and he wants to retire." I said, well, it turns out the guy he was a movie producer, and he made African-American movies for African-American audiences, but real movies. I mean, he had the black James Bond, the black, version of, when movies were segregated. But they were real movies, and he had all the stars in the garage. I thought, that's interesting. And then I see this one lady, white lady, and I go, "Oh, she's very pretty. Oh, that's my wife. It's like 1930. And I said, "Oh, is she still with us?" "Oh, yeah, she's here." So he goes, "Come on." And so we go in the house, and he says to me, "She doesn't want to come out because she doesn't look like that anymore." I mean, the picture's taken in like 1947.
Right.
I said, "Okay." So I go up to the door. "Hi, whatever her name was, Jay Leno." "Hello, I enjoy your show program. I'm not ready to come out right now." I said, "That's fine. That's fine." He goes, "She doesn't look like that anymore." I said, "Oh, okay. All right." So it was just, and the house was perfect, 1951, 52.
Yeah.
Immaculate, but nothing had changed in 50 years.
Right.
So he goes, "Let me show you the car." So we go into the car, and for all intents and purposes, it's a brand new 67 Chrysler Imperial with dual air conditioners front and back that blow across each other. So it literally snows inside the car. I mean, you have weather in it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the two-door Crown Coupe, just an enormous, the biggest car. It barely fits in the garage.
And what color?
A gold.
Wow.
Gold with the black roof top.
Of course.
And he says to me, "Now, if you buy the car, you got to take all this crap with it. Come on, let's go to the other garage."
Oh, dear.
So we go to the other garage, and he was so afraid he was going to have an accident. He bought extra bumpers, extra window glass, extra fender. He bought every part he needed in case his car was damaged.
No kidding.
And well, now I have to buy it. How can I not buy this car? I mean, it literally floats down the road.
Wow.
It is the complete opposite of everything you know about cars now. It's the complete deliberate absence of road feel. It's got the thin A-pillar, so you've got this massive windshield with nothing blocking you. And you feel like you're driving a big screen TV.
You're in a parade. Those are parade
cars. It floats down the road. It's Mr. Drysdale's car, basically, from Beverly Hillbillies. And I just love the story. I mean, it's one owner. He bought it new.
Oh, it's the greatest.
And he talked about all the famous movie stars that had been in it, and a lot of black actors I hadn't heard of, but were big in the 40s and 50s. And, there was one guy who was, they used to call him the Black Gene Autry. I think he just passed away at age 100. I can't remember his name. But he was one of his guys. And it was just a fascinating piece of Americana, this old-time guy lives in this mansion in Beverly Hills. I mean, literally hidden away. You can't see it from the road, just the driveway.
Wow.
And when you go up that driveway, it's 1955, maybe.
Yeah.
He's got the big console TV, and it's got the open the thing, and it's got the record player on the other side.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It's great.
I go, how can I buy the car now? I have to buy it.
I get it. I think I may have told you. I live in the same neighborhood Steve McQueen lived in, out in Brentwood. And I know the folks that own his house bought it directly from Steve, and it's the same. They did not redecorate.
Wow,
they bought it with the furniture. And occasionally I'm invited up there in one of my contraptions, in my 66 Triumph Bonneville, and it's that same feeling you're talking about.
Yeah.
The castle, Steve's castle. The doors open, and you take this long, twisting driveway, and then you're in that driveway where he was photographed with his Lusso.
Right.
He had an old Land Rover Series 2A, which I didn't know. I have one of those. And you go on this little fantasy ride that, I like to think I'm kind of Steve McQueen in that moment, but I'm not.
I would keep thinking that.
But you've raised such an important point about this stuff. Like the experience of buying a car is something you carry with you every drive forward. Right. You don't really want to have a bad transaction, but this rich story that you're told and it's experienced that day, you're going to think about that every time you drive.
If I don't like the owner, I don't buy the car.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, because I like to think it's that I'm reminded of that idiot, you know what I'm saying? But,
his skin flakes are in there.
Yeah, every one of them has some kind of a unique story that just make it interesting.
All right, so, what does Jay Leno look for? Is there anything that you've never found that you want? Collector car.
I always say,
is there something you're jonesing for?
Be happy with what you have, Just make sure you have enough.
So it's about the number.
No,
But I would think at this point you've come across everything that you could possibly want.
It's the same thing when I'm a great believer in chance. I've been married for 37 years, so I don't. But when I was single, I
think you just answered that phone call.
Honey, I'm just doing a radio interview.
Oh, that's his wife right now. He's checking with her.
What's it?
This happens when we're doing car shows.
I'll call back.
All right.
I'll call. Oh, okay.
We're going to take a break right now. We'll be right back with Jay Leno. He's handling a personal issue. All right, I'm back here. I want to talk more about Amazon Automotive. You know, if you're like me, you use Amazon pretty much for anything because you can be, I'm always up in my office and I realize, hey, you know what I need? I need protein shakes. I need toilet paper and I need dog food, and I don't want to go to the store because I'm lazy. So I use Amazon. And I've recently found out that Amazon has an amazing automotive department. What does that mean? Well, here's what it means. They're carrying parts from top brands like K&N, PowerStop, Chemical Guys, Bosch, and more. Just that list right there, you know what those guys are doing. You know, when you're looking for a car part, you get lost, and then, you know, if you're like me, you go on eBay, you're not quite sure you're getting the right part for the right year car, or even if it's going to come, you know, faster than 3 weeks. Well, with Amazon Automotive, if you're a Prime member, that stuff can get to you in is sometimes 24 hours. You know, and once they get that drone operational, they're just going to drop the part right on your head the second you order it, and then you put it right into your car. You want to use Amazon Automotive. You can shop for tires there. Tires, people. Think about that. You're not driving to the weird tire shop and talking to those weird guys where they say, okay, sit here and we'll be done with you in a couple hours. And you look across the way with the magazine that someone took to the bathroom, and you just don't want to be there. What you do now is you go to Amazon Automotive, you buy those tires, they're delivered right to your door. No more shady guys at the part shop. But not all guys at the part shop are shady, but most of you are. You should know that. You wash your hands every once in a while. You can check fitment online for millions of parts using Amazon's Part Finder tool. Just enter your year, make, and model, and Amazon will tell you if it fits. So go to Amazon.com/mygarage, enter your car's information, and start your shopping experience with their comprehensive automotive catalog. Add promo code SPIKE, S-P-I-K-E, at the checkout and receive $5 off on select orders over $25 for a limited time. Restrictions apply. Visit Amazon.com/promo terms for details. And speaking of automotive, don't forget, Car Matchmaker has successfully transitioned. I know, Jade, you don't like to say that, but it's successfully transitioned from a dead network, Esquire, to NBC. We are going to be on NBC Sports. Our run has already started through the month of October. All you need to do is, I think we're wrapped around Formula One racing and NASCAR. And look, if we do well, if you folks watch, I know you've seen the first 3 seasons of the show. They're running them again. If we do well, season 4 is on the horizon. We're almost there. Car Matchmaker on NBC Sports. Look for it when you're searching your DVR for shows. And here's what, I want you to DVR every single one of these and watch these shows. And I promise you, if we do well, we will be doing a season 4. So look for Car Matchmaker on NBC Sports this October. All right, let's talk more to Jay.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, back here with Jay Leno. Again, thank you for doing this. This is really exciting for me to have you here. We were talking about cars that you were looking for. Apparently, you're not looking for anything, but I know you just got the new Ford GT.
Amazing.
And brought it out to Trancas at the Cars and Coffee and made a big splashy exit from the car with your Nixon fingers up in the air.
There you go.
I saw it on Instagram. It was super cool. Tell us about the car. You're liking it? You've been in it for how long now?
A couple of months. Very impressed with the car.
How did you get is this the first one that was delivered to a customer?
What's one of I bought one in 2005, car number 12.
Okay.
What happened was in 2005, the first 10 cars went to members of the Ford family. Number 11, I auctioned off for charity, and then I got to be able to buy the first number 12. And so I asked if this could be number 12 too. And so they did that.
And then why 12?
Just because the first one was 12.
I see.
Just matching serial
Just
numbers.
matching numbers. You're doing that
matching
game.
numbers.
Seinfeld does that too with these numbers, but he believes that some numbers are lucky. Like if there's a 9 in it, or if it adds up to 9, that's going to mean good fortune.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be back with Jerry some more. Yeah.
I've now absorbed that too. I look for that too, but I don't care. But continue. Tell us about this new car.
Well, it's a real chassis car.
Okay.
And that the first car was a road car that looked like a race car, the GT. This one is a race car that they've modified to be a road car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit more pure that way. But
are you daily driving it? How are you driving this car?
I'm not daily driving it. I drive it a lot. I mean, it's like champagne. If you drink it every day, now you're an alcoholic and you've got a thing full of tickets. I mean, I use it the way I use a motorcycle. I never take a motorcycle when I have to be somewhere, because that means I'm going to be rushing through traffic. I'm going to be lane splitting. I'm going to have an accident.
Right.
I predict all these cars in the future will be like snowmobiles or ATVs. You take your electric whatever to go to work every day, because why drive a Ford GT and 405 bumper to bumper? There's nothing there.
Right.
So, and then on the weekends, you use it as you'd use any recreational vehicle, just to enjoy the enjoyment of going for a ride and driving up in the hills. And that's pretty much what I use it for. I get some free time. Oh, let me go up and do the Angeles Crest and come back. And I just enjoy the process of driving the car. And it gets a bit of grief because it's a V6. But, in Europe, the 6-cylinder engine has always been king. It's light. The engine is...
Where is this grief coming from? Just people running their mouth at a Cars and Coffee?
Well, that it's the same block as the Ford F-150.
I'll tell you what I don't like about it, and I don't want to lead off with a complaint. The seat's not adjustable, right?
Well, no, the seat is way more... I've got a McLaren F1... I mean, a P1 and an F1.
I've run into into you in that car, and you had to put a towel down, right?
This is way more comfortable.
Isn't that the car you had an American flag towel or something?
For the Buttercly Challenge. Yeah.
Right.
I eventually got another seat from McLaren that was a little bit bigger. No, the Ford, the seats are bolted to the frame or the chassis, the carbon fiber. And then you pull a thing, and the pedals and the steering wheel move. It's basically the same. It's the same thing. Much more of a comfortable car over long distances than the F1, I find. The P1, I mean.
Do you ever do long road trips in any of these cars?
No, I don't, because I always have to be back to do something.
Right.
So I enjoy just going out for a couple of hours and screwing. My attention span is not great. I'm not one of these people. We're going to try to do the cannonball 2 weeks across America. Well, all right, and then you hit Iowa, and okay, what do you go, 9 hours of this? Really?
Then I have to talk to the people at night at dinner? Yeah, I can't do rallies either.
Actually, I don't mind that. I like talking to people. I just don't. I don't do those cannonball things because you don't want to be a rich guy who killed little Timmy on the bike.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always a guy that races ahead 120 miles an hour. And I just enjoy the driving part of it. If you get a ticket by yourself, it's speeding. If you get a ticket with another car, it's exhibitionist speed, which is a whole different, more serious ticket. It's racing. It's endangering the public good. They have like 5 different things for the same ticket.
It stays on your insurance for 7 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
I might be someone speaking from experience on that one.
It's not. That's what I mean. So when I see these cannonball guys and they got the Lambo with Viagra painted on the side or whatever it is, and they're just tearing through little towns, you just look like rich guys who couldn't.
All right, you want to hear how I got my exhibitionist speed?
Go ahead.
68 Cougar XR7 convertible. Just moved to L.A., and I decided to light up the tires outside of the bar I was at with my friends.
Oh, boy.
That was the end of it. Now, I think I would have been fine, but the lovely young lady who was with me decided to she'd badmouth the cops, which you just don't badmouth the cops in that moment. She, used a series of expletives and tried to tell them off. She had a roommate who worked at LAPD, and she thought she had a right to say that to this gentleman. And
it's not good.
No, he took it out on me. So, but horrible ticket, 7 years. It's one notch under a DUI.
Wow.
But it didn't involve alcohol. It's just like you are street racing and you are in big trouble. I love that little tip you just gave about motorcycle riding, because I've been riding a motorcycle since I was 12 years old.
Right.
And my friend Scuzz, Massachusetts, my buddy, he came from a motorcycle riding family, gave me the best piece of advice, which is you will die in an intersection. He goes, eyes and ears open in that intersection, and stay just to the right of the center line when you're in a... Those two pieces of advice have kept me safe
And you never go
since I
center
was
line.
12.
You know why?
What is that?
You don't go center because
Right.
that's where the oil is.
Right.
Cars
Oh,
don't
that's
really drip oil
great.
anymore. But
But this, don't be late. Don't, if you're late, don't take a motorcycle.
Right. Yeah,
that is a great tip.
Yeah, you don't do that. You don't do that.
How much are you on a motorcycle these days?
A lot. I figure, I'm 67, so I got maybe one good crash left. You know what I mean? Because when you fall down now, Jesus, it hurts. Oh my God! Ow, ow! It's like weeks of ow, jeez, ow. So plus, I'm driving 100-year-old bikes that really don't have brakes.
Yeah.
So you learn to use accident avoidance technology.
Yeah.
Excuse me, red light. Excuse me, sorry. Excuse me, coming through. You just have to be careful. I like the old superbikes from the 20s and 30s that are the most dangerous contraptions, but they're just so sexy and fun. But I am riding a lot now because I figure, what have I got? Maybe 5 or 6 more years of riding before stuff really starts breaking.
Right. All right. Well, we're going to take one more break, and then we'll be back to talk to Jay about his new CNBC show, new season coming up. Has that been announced yet?
Well, you know what it is? It's really the same season. They just split it into 2. We shot 6.
Well, but you're headed into season 4.
Yeah, we shot 16. Now, they showed 8, and they wanted to wait 3 months and show the second 8. So
okay, cool.
I guess it's a new season.
Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah, sure.
I want to talk about your CNBC show.
Yeah,
I want to talk about crashing. We'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, one last time. I am loving Amazon Automotive. While I'm doing interviews, I'm frequently ordering parts. And I'm not lying. When something breaks on my car, and you folks are probably just like me, you lose your mind. You feel like one of your kids has a broken arm, and you immediately set out and try to find this part. Let me tell you, I told you one light story. Let me tell you another one about my co-host, The Real Zuckerman. He had his 964 sunroof delete Japanese Porsche 911 at the house, and it had a broken side light, right? This is a Japanese market Porsche 911 from 1992, I believe. And guess where I found the replacement part? Amazon Automotive. I put it into their little search thing, I put the car in, and boom, I had that part in one day. This is something I couldn't find on eBay. This is something I couldn't find anywhere else. Amazon Automotive delivered it like they deliver everything else. So if you're not an automotive expert, check out Amazon's library of automotive video content at amazon.com/mygarage. They'll teach you how to install that light, air filters, change oil, water pumps, the whole deal. Empower yourself, people. You are going to love this. Go to amazon.com/mygarage, enter your car's information, and start your shopping experience from their comprehensive automotive catalog. And don't forget, put promo code SPIKE in there at checkout and receive $5 off select orders, over $25 for a limited time. So restrictions apply. Visit amazon.com/promo terms for details. Don't forget to enter my name. And by the way, you have my permission to enter my name anywhere, any place that you want. Put it on a wall in Australia. I don't care.
Hey, my name is James Petrogallo.
I'm Jimmy Wisman.
Please join us every single Tuesday for Crime in Sports.
So fun.
You like sports?
You don't have to.
Let's just set up a context and find out what an idiot did wrong. What do you say?
I'm in.
We're going to do that each and every week. We take an athlete, we break him down, we make fun of everything he's ever done.
Yeah. But in order to do that, we have to build up and tell you all about their career and get you to what, James? To grace.
And then watch them fall from grace, as they inevitably do. Join us. Big criminals, small criminals, sports you've never heard of. Doesn't matter. It's the crime. It's the comedy. It's such a good time. Join us every Tuesday for Crime in Sports.
You can join us every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com, the Podcast One app, or subscribe on all Apple products.
Find us every Tuesday and laugh at people.
You're listening to Spike's Car Radio.
All right, we're back with Jay Leno. The CNBC show is Jay Leno's Garage.
Right.
It just grew out of that. The show's fantastic. We were just talking about crashing, and last time I saw you, I wanted to ask you about that crash that you had in the, it was a 2,500 horsepower Hemi under glass.
Oh, the Hemi under glass, yeah.
With Bob Riggle, legendary stunt driver.
Right. Well Bob's he's not a stunt driver. He drove the Hemi under glass when I was a kid.
And tell everybody what happened in case they didn't see it.
Well,
we all saw it.
We should explain. The Hemi under glass is a Plymouth Barracuda that they put the big Hemi V8 behind the back seat.
Okay.
To make a race car.
Now, a dragster or a race car?
No, like funny car, I guess you'd call it.
Okay.
It was to be an exhibition car to race. The trouble was the front end kept coming up on it. And it was fast, but it wasn't as fast as some other ones that had more mid-engine placement or even front engine.
Kind of like our Dodge Demon that's coming out.
Yeah, kind of the same thing.
The front end is coming out.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. So then they figured, people went nuts when the front end would come up. So they said, well, let's just take it to the next level. So they put a glass floor in so when it got up, you could drive and see down the road. So the idea, they made an exhibition car where it would literally jump. I mean, all four wheels would come off the ground because it would go on the back bumper. It would just leap up, bang, and then it would go down the drag strip with the front end up in the air, and it became... back in the 60s, Sunday down the so come on, Saugus Stragway, all that kind of stuff. It became a huge moneymaker.
Explain to me this glass floor. I've never heard this before.
Well, the idea is when the car
is it tempered glass?
It's a piece of Lexan plastic.
Okay. And where is it with respect to like the foot pedals?
Well, okay. Imagine you're sitting in the car, the foot pedals. Imagine where the transmission would be.
Right.
Don't forget everything's in the back, so there's nothing there. It would come up, and since you were vertical, you could see on the track where you were. Don't forget,
it's just under your knees.
Yeah, just under your knees. You just look a little to the side. You know where some of the 60s cars used to have the tachometer? Remember they put it on the transmission? Right there. So this way, when it's on the track, you could sort of guide it.
Right.
Yeah.
God, I had no idea.
It had a solid axle.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The brakes, two pedals, you could push either brake to sort of guide it down.
Have you ever
road.
driven anything like that? Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
Looking through the floor?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And you just, it's pointed in a straight line.
Yeah,
so you're looking through the
it.
floor just to make sure you're following the line, And that's why it was done. And what had happened there was we were out at Pomona, Fontana. There's a...
I think that's Pomona, right?
There's a little circle track. And we were in the center of it, shooting for the show, and it has a bit of a lip. Mm-hmm. And Bob got a little sideways.
So we have Bob in there. He's how old at this point?
Bob Riggle. Bob's 81.
He's 81. He's showing you the car. You hop in.
Yeah, we were filming it.
Right.
And it got a little sideways. And just boom, boom, went over. But it showed you...
Did you see how he minimized that, Will? Did it just boom, boom, boom go? Are you guys...
Well, we had all kinds of safety equipment.
Google this clip. Because this blew my mind. This crash blew my mind. Because, on Car Matchmaker, I'm constantly in the passenger seat with amateur drivers, cameras in their face, a producer, and me yammering at them in traffic. And I'm afraid of dying. Well, that's the first rule I tell my people. Don't kill the host. This was my worst nightmare. And if you've Googled it, you're looking at it now, you'll see what I mean.
It was really funny because we rolled over.
You rolled and you rolled. Nickels in a coffee can.
Right. And then the doctor comes over and says to Bob, "What's your name?" He goes, "My name's Bob Riggle. I'm 81 years old." He says to me, "What's your name?" And I said, "My name is Bob Riggle, and I'm 81 years old. One of these two men is the real Bob Riggle."
Oh, my God.
Let's play to television. And it got a big laugh. So
I instantly called Jerry up, and I was like, "Did you see Leno's line after the crash?" We were like, "Genius.
It got a good
genius."
laugh.
The other little thing I noticed that really made me admire you in that moment more was the presence of mind of tucking your arm in.
Oh, yeah. I got to have my arm out.
Right, and
I
not
was holding
crashing.
onto the window. So I realized once we started to go over, okay, my arm's
and you're watching that clip, and you've got that arm, because if that arm goes out the window, you're losing. You answered your phone again.
Oh.
There you go.
Oh.
That's Mike.
Mike, I'll call back. Right.
We should just take calls. Mike, do you have a question?
Mike, you have a question?
No, I just thought that was the coolest, and as I was telling you...
Actually, it was like the most played automotive clip of like 2016.
It's insane. And I told you, I think, when we were chatting last week that I had busted my rib shooting something with Tony Hawk on an electric skateboard. I crashed at 30 miles an hour and busted a rib from this pilot I was shooting at. And that was earlier this year, and I'm still feeling it.
I know, it really. And when you're 68, it really
I'm
hurts.
53, and I know.
Yeah.
And, and then I started thinking on the way here, this isn't your first big crash. You had that Carrera GT crash at Talladega.
Well, that wasn't a crash.
That was a slop.
What happened was...
But you're on another oval. You're in the Carrera GT, a car we know can kill people.
Well, no. Now, see, that's unfair because it's a matter of knowing. I mean, it gets this reputation.
Right. No, I understand.
I mean, I think that's fair to say.
But a car that people have died in. Let me say it that way.
Well, then, okay. Now we're talking Toyota Corolla.
And you're on an oval.
What we're trying to do is do 100 laps.
Right.
Between 180 and 190 miles an hour.
With a big cement wall.
Yeah. So we're doing 188. We're trying to average 188 going around. Okay. So then the guy gives me the thumbs up. That's good. You got it. I said, great. And I was coming down the straight. And I just lifted my foot off the throttle, and the wind grabbed the back of the car and whipped it. But, there's that old thing, if you're always going to hit what you're looking at.
Right.
When you're racing in a car, if you're going fast, you see a tree. Whoa, you're still staring at a tree. You're moving that steering wheel. It's really not moving.
Yeah.
Your trick is to move your head, and your hand will follow.
Yeah.
And you say, look over there. So I managed to spin 5 or 6 times on the main straight. And drove it back. I mean, the tires were all blocked. I mean, they all got chunked.
Right.
But
no, I only say that because that's the worst kind of crash you can have, right? It's on an oval and into the wall.
Yeah,
that's
we didn't
where you
wreck
get hurt.
the car.
No,
so that
you're
was
right,
okay.
You're right.
So that was
but, I did that same thing. I was at the Carrera GT launch in East Berlin, and that's the one thing they said not to do when you're going around a turn.
Right.
Don't lift because you're going to lose it and you won't get back.
Right, yeah. That's the
But no, I think that
yeah.
car is... it's the purest heroin you can buy. It's the heroin that kills the junkies, and everybody goes, "Hey, I want some of that."
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about it. It came out 2004, 2005.
You still have yours?
Still have mine. Yeah, I bought it new. So a couple of years ago, I called the dealer and I said, "I need some shocks." What is it? Carrera GT? What year? I said 2004, 2005. He goes, we don't really work on much of the old stuff. I go, the old stuff? It was $500,000 when I bought it 9 years ago. He said, I don't know if any of those guys that work on it are still around. What are they, 40 now? How old? What do you mean if they're still around? I'm not talking about a 1929 SSK here. Mm-hmm. The car's 8 years old. But that's what it is now. You have these cars. It's kind of like, remember the book Fahrenheit 451?
Yeah, I do.
Everybody remembered one book. Mm-hmm. There was book burnings. They all memorized one book. And I meet guys, and all they do are Carrera GTs. And they travel the country. There's a guy, a friend of mine, who just does... There are 64 McLaren F1s. And every year, every couple of months, rather, he's on a different continent servicing. And he services every single one. Pani is his name. He services every single one in the world. And he just travels around doing them. SLR Mercedes, same thing. The 918 Porsche. I mean... Probably the most high-tech, complex car.
You have one of those?
Ever. No, I don't. Jerry has one. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic car, but you go to a Porsche dealer, they don't know. Oh my God,
right? Of course,
you got to bring in the surgeon from. It's like when you're in an accident. They go, "You're lucky you're in town when this guy was here. Well, you'd be dead." And that's really what it is, because these cars are so specialized, and you have guys that spend years on that car. And they spend the rest of their life just doing that car. People seek them out. A lot like the twin cam Porsche from the 60s and the 50s. There are guys, that's all they do. There's not that many of them left. But to take the tweezers and put those roller bearings in and make sure they're exactly right and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, you want to get those shocks fixed for sure in that Carrera GT, because there's a little metal rod in there and a piece of rubber that seizes up and kind of makes it stiff, and that's where the back end starts to jump.
That's what I had. That was the problem I had with mine.
How many Porsches do you have?
I'm doing a 911T, a 71.
Really?
I have a 3.
God, I'm so obsessed with those today. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
They're really. I found this one in Beverly Hills. Again, story. Woman calls me.
Well, what color?
I call it baby poop brown, but it's sepia.
Sepia
which
brown.
I hated it, and then
I owned a sepia brown.
Once I buffed it up, I like this. So
But you will hear baby poo from every woman in the neighborhood.
But it's an original. It's a one-owner car.
Black and tan interior?
No, tan interior. And the owner stored it in his mother's condo right around the corner here in Beverly Hills. Put it in there in 96. And, got married, moved away, got sick. And then he died. And it sat for 20. When I went to look at it, it had 4 flat tires and no keys.
And mileage?
52,000. And we took it back to my shop, flatbedded it back. Not a drop of rust. Nothing on it. Nothing on it. So it was a good deal.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was $25,000. I mean,
I'm trying to buy back my 911T that I stupidly sold
because I
did not listen to Jay Leno. And I am currently getting screwed on that deal. I decided to go through this dealer who sold it for me and who I sold it to originally, and now he's holding me hostage.
Yeah,
he's holding me hostage. But I think the 911T, especially 70 to 73, is the perfect, just relaxing 911.
Yeah, all I've done to this one, I've put the twin plug head on it. We've taken it to 2.5.
You're going to hot rod it.
No, not really hot
rod. You just want it to go a little faster.
Massage it a little bit.
Right.
2.5, not 2.7.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Just to give it a little bit more oomph. And a wonderful driving car, very relaxing car. My 356, twin cam. It's so funny. Those older cars, you get in a new McLaren or Ferrari and that stuff. You step on the gas and okay, what? Now you're doing 130 and you're in jail. You get in the old Porsche, and it's fun just to watch that needle sweep across the track. You just hear it. You can enjoy the music as the revs grow. And I've got a 1964 Honda 600S, this little sports car. It's a 600 cc's. It's 54 horsepower, twin cam, roller bearing crank. I mean, if it said Porsche on it, it'd be $1 million. The red line is 9,500, and it just screams. But you're only going 50, 60 miles an hour. But it's just a lot of fun. The sensory experience. I get so annoyed with these cars, and we pipe an exhaust-like noise through the speakers, so it sounds like.
Oh yeah, forget that.
All right, and why don't I get a love doll too and just play with that? You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, you're missing out on the whole experience of the car.
Is it true that you won't buy a Ferrari? Do you own a Ferrari?
No, it's not that I won't. No, it's not. In the 80s and 90s, I always tried to buy them. I would see one advertised, and I would go look. And they all had 27,000 miles. Even if they had that in 72, they have that now. And I'd like to buy it. Well, I'm not doing Mr. Hakaka, who's in Pakistan, is the current. What? Okay. And, I think they're wonderful cars. I mean, they're unbelievable. I've driven the new Enzo. The Enzo.
Well, I don't mean the new stuff, the old stuff.
Yeah, even the F40 I love. But, when Ferrari was the only game in town, there was a bit of arrogance with a lot of the dealers, Italian air in the tires and do this. And you got to buy 2 Mondials before you can buy this. And I don't want to give Ace, the salesman, $10,000 in an envelope. Can I just buy the car? That was...
That's still going on, by the way.
Well, that was the great thing about Porsche. When I bought my McLaren, my Carrera GT, they brought it to my garage in a flatbed.
There you go.
They sent over 2 mechanics.
Right.
We put it up on the lift. They showed me how to service this, how to take out the battery, how to do this, how to do that.
No kidding.
They showed me the jacking points. And I felt like a customer.
Right.
Every couple of weeks, your Porsche is being built right now. Here's a book. Here's a jacket. Here's a pen and pencil. Whatever it might be, Same thing with McLaren. When I bought my 12C, I ordered the carbon fiber brakes, and they said, "You going to track the car?" I said, "No, it's a street car." They said, "Save $20,000. Just get the cast iron. You'll find it works better on the street. It doesn't need to heat up to work. It'll be as hard as if you're not pushing it hard on the track. You don't need." And they were right. And I said, and I appreciated being treated as a customer. A Ferrari, I think, has changed. I think now they realize they got real competition.
They absolutely
from
do.
all these companies. So now you've got a 7-year warranty. No, and they're all very good. It's just that I like to go, how much is something, and I'll pay the sticker. That seems fair. That's what the manufacturer said. I don't want to give some guy another $50,000 over a sticker. What's the why? Why is it? It doesn't cost that much.
Does it bother you at all when you're driving one of your cars that's worth a lot of money? Is there a value that makes you nervous? Like, you have some pretty valuable stuff.
Well, I'll tell you.
But some people, like, I don't care. You know, it's a car.
I
it
enjoy
seems
driving
like,
it.
Right.
I mean,
but some people
the
want...
F1 McLaren, anything you do to it is a house. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's a little
what
crazy.
it costs to fix it, right?
And even the P1, P1's got that little splitter, that little piece of carbon fiber in front. It's about 36 inches long. It's about a quarter of an inch thick. If you crack that or break it, you can get a new splitter or a Z06 Corvette. Mm-hmm. They're the same price. They're $84,000.
But do you get anxious when you make a mistake or you break something on your car? Because it ruins my day. It ruins 24 hours of my day if I do something.
Well, it does, and if I manage to fix it, it makes my day.
Yeah,
because now I feel I've bonded with the automobile,
right? Yes,
in some way.
Yes,
you know. Yeah. I mean, that's what annoys me a little bit about modern stuff. I mean, I appreciate it more than, you know, we grew up in the day when if you bought a Harley or a Triumph or whatever it was, you'd buy it, and then you buy the kit to give you 3 more horsepower, you put that on, and then you buy the exhaust headers to give you 2, and you'd sort of earn your horsepower and build it up. Now you just buy something, it's flat out crazy fast. But you didn't bond with it. You have no experience with it. You know, BMW guys are good that way because they know how to take them apart and fix them. Another reason I like Porsche and Corvette is the owners brag about how many miles I have instead of how few miles. Mm-hmm. You know, when I watch any of these tuner shows, the hot cars are always a Corvette and Porsche. They go out on the track and they flog them. They hit 220 or 240 or whatever it is, and they take them around. I rarely see it with any of the Italian exotics because people don't want to break it. And they, what if it breaks and it's going to be 6 months finding it? You know, all that kind of stuff. So,
right.
You know, there's an earthiness to the Porsches. I mean, people have no problem buying a Porsche with 150,000 miles on it.
Of course not.
It's
No.
fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just broken in.
It's going to run into 300. Depends on the car. Now, I just came out of my 58 Speedster. I was daily driving it for a week with the 66 and the Series 2A. Just only old stuff.
Right.
To cleanse the palate for this Macan GTS press car I just got.
Okay.
I wanted to experience it new. Right. I knew if I was in a GT3 or something new, it would feel like a diminished driving experience.
Right.
But what I remembered was every morning when I woke up and there's a little note like, hey, you got to get the kids, pick them up from school, or you got to drop James to soccer practice, or I have to drive into Hollywood for a meeting, I have a little moment of panic like, you know, crap, all I've got is my 58 Speedster.
Right.
And then I would get in the car and drive it, and it was fine. And I would be in traffic, and I would get to where I needed to go and do what I needed to do.
Where kids are involved, that's where I kind of draw the line. Like,
that's the Series 2A. That's the old Land Rover.
Yeah, I always meet guys that say, I want to get my kid a 65 Mustang.
No, you don't want to do that.
And I say to them, you know, a car you walk away from
right
20 years ago would kill you.
Exactly.
I mean, when I was in high school, kids got killed at 20 miles an hour hitting a tree and the steering column crushed their chest or whatever it might be. You know, so I would never buy a kid anything older than 2005 just because it doesn't have the airbags. And once they are old enough to understand what's going on, well, then you make the choice that you want to take the chance.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
You know, I'm always amazed when I get into, you know, one of the funniest things I ever saw, and I love Seth Meyers.
Let me preface the story.
No, he do. But Jerry
really
had him on Cars and Coffee.
Yes.
And I think Jerry took him in a Porsche. Mm-hmm. And Seth, what year is this car? I think he did 76. Isn't this dangerous? I mean, it doesn't have this. Yeah. It doesn't have that. And it just sort of... and Seth is right.
He's right.
But it just made me laugh because as a car guy, you go, what?
Yeah, you don't remember that.
You should be thrilled just to be riding in this thing.
My sometime co-host Paul Zuckerman has crashed twice in the last 2 years in 356s and had to be kind of peeled out of the car and still drives them. Still enjoys it. Well, because it's this, you know, I don't know.
You know, there's a reason classic car insurance is cheap. My Countach is $600 a year to insure.
Really?
Because if it breaks, they know I drag it back to the shop and I fix it.
Right.
I go in a big circle and I go back to where the car originated. I don't park it on the street. Mm-hmm. I use it when I'm at the top of my game and my wits are about me and I'm paying attention. Because classic car insurance is cheap because I know classic car people, even though they're driving something that doesn't have modern brakes and a lot of other things, they're paying attention.
Right.
I mean, distracted driving is the new DUI.
Right.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. The number of people, as a motorcycle rider, I'm sure you know this. I would pull into an intersection, and I would see you coming towards me, and there would be an unconscious, just the nod of the head, or I would know that my eye hit his eye.
Yeah.
Now, when I pull into an action motorcycle and I see somebody coming the way, as soon as they start to slow down, before they stop, the head goes down to the lap, and they're looking at the thing. And I go, hey, beep, what? Oh, and I wake them up. So that's why, driving an older car in some ways is safer because, A, you're into it, you enjoy it. You're not, I got to get to the thing. Where's the piece of paper?
Let me ask you, we got to go in a minute, but let me just ask you one other thing about your garage. Because you have, again, I haven't seen it, but I've seen evidence of what you're doing down there. I remember once I saw you down at Santa Monica Airport, and you came over with this Oldsmobile Tornado, I think.
Tornado.
And you said, very proudly said, I made these wheels.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah.
I made the wheels. And then somebody else told me, oh, yeah, Jay's got a 3D printer. He's 3D printing parts. Give me a sense of your operation down there, if you would. Like, how many guys do you employ? Is this a real working, functioning garage?
It's a real function.
Do you paint there? Can you restore there?
We do paint. We do interior. We do we do everything.
Wow.
With the 3D printer, we can make all the parts.
So you're just a self-contained operation with the exception of these specialized cars.
You send stuff out to be done, and someone's nice enough to let you use their paint booth, and then your car comes back and there's dust in the paint, and you can't yell at the guy because he let you use his booth. In fact, his booth wasn't clean or whatever.
Are you putting on a mask and painting cars?
Well, the guys do it at the shop. I don't. I would like to. I used to. Now I'm kind of got to pay for all the stuff, so you got to go work. But it works out good. I mean, all my guys have 100% health care and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
All dental, all that.
That's really cool. What about a franchise? Jay Leno's Garage.
Yeah, you want to lose
town.
money. You want to lose money. Don't make your hobby. I knew a dentist who always wanted to open a hot dog stand. And he opened one in one part of town. It did okay. And then he opened another one in the other part of town. It did okay. And he spent his life running between the two hot dog stands, thinking he's going to be a franchise. And he lost his dental practice.
He lost it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, it's
Did
like...
he lose the hot dog practice?
Well, that soon after. But, I like to make love. I don't want to be a gynecologist.
There you go.
Okay?
Jay Leno, everybody. You know his show, of course, on CNBC, Jay Leno's Garage. You know him. He's a fantastic car guy. He loves talking to people, so feel free to say hello to him next time you see him.
Jay Leno's Garage, a show we never did talk about.
Well, we don't need to promote it here. Jay, thanks for coming in,
I got to come back again.
Real quick, before we go, when you're looking to buy a car, you want to make sure that you're getting real pricing on actual inventory. Unfortunately, a lot of times, this isn't the case. People configure cars online only later to find out they're not available. This just happened to my brother. Well, with TrueCar, you get real pricing on actual inventory. This is not pricing offered by TrueCar, but pricing from an actual dealer. And not just any dealer, but a TrueCar certified dealer. This is a carefully curated network of dealers committed to transparency and offering you a competitive market price. Using TrueCar, you can easily find the car you want. Next, TrueCar will show you what other people in your area paid for the same car you're looking for. Now you know what a fair price is, so you can feel confident. And don't we all want to feel confident? Over 3 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users by the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. There are over 13,000 TrueCar certified dealers nationwide. You will work directly with a TrueCar certified dealer contact. TrueCar users are more likely to enjoy a fast buying process when they connect with TrueCar certified dealers. TrueCar users save an average of over $3,000 off MSRP. When you're ready to buy, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Some features not available in all states. And guess what? I'm not telling you what features and what states. All right. Next week we have for you Richard Rollins from Fast and Loud, and then Rob Corddry from Ballers the following week after that. We'll see you next time on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio. Download new episodes every Wednesday on the Podcast One app, or subscribe now at Apple Podcasts or PodcastOne.com.
Hey guys, time to get in on the action for the biggest moments in basketball with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections, place your entry, and win up to 100 times your money. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit of up to $100. Just download the Prize Picks app and use the code GET100. That's code GET100 on Prize Picks for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more. Pick less. It's that easy.
You love podcasts, the stories, the laughs, the unexpected turns. But when this episode ends, the silence starts. Not anymore. Audiobooks.com turns that silence into your next great adventure. With over 450,000 titles, from bestsellers to hidden gems, your love for listening just found its new best friend. And because you already know the joy of audio, we're giving you 3 free audiobooks to start your journey. Imagine your favorite podcast, now with unlimited episodes. That's audiobooks.com. Keep the story going. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. Because for podcast lovers like you, the end of an episode is just the beginning. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.